Now, of course, it is April the 23rd. That means it is St George's Day, and communities across the country are gathering to celebrate England's patron saint.
Well, red crosses are flying against white backgrounds. Knights are dusting off their chainmail, yet some are asking, who is St George and why should you celebrate him? Well, our East Midlands reporter Will Hollis has the story.
Come rain or shine, Colin from Carlton in Nottingham will celebrate St George's Day. He's been decorating his home with the St George's Cross for 30 years.
It matters because 23rd of April is St George's Day and we're being forgotten about, and we've got to show our identity and show our patriotism.
In the city centre, size matters. England's biggest flag covers Nottingham's council house. It appears every year. Many welcome it, some are indifferent.
I think it's amazing. I do. I think it's absolutely amazing, and it's proud for something in our country.
I think it's really good to see it up there. It's good to see a celebration of England, the country.
It's a flag.
Yeah,
I didn't even realise it was there, if I'm honest with you.
The red cross against white is St George's emblem and the nation's flag.
St George has been celebrated as England's patron saint since the 14th century. But long before English knights wore the red cross over their armour while riding into battle, his story was being told in other parts of the world.
Legend states that George was a dragon-slaying knight. History traces him to modern-day Turkey, a Roman soldier who died defending Christianity. In London, the Royal Society of St George, a patriotic but non-political group, paraded with hundreds of cadets at the weekend. Nick Dutt is chairman.
A lot of our fundamental beliefs and things that we hold dear are being undermined. So I think it's important we come together and celebrate him as a unifying factor.
Here at the Cenotaph, England's fallen heroes are honoured alongside the patron saint. Laying a wreath ahead of the 80th anniversary of the Normandy landings, D-Day veteran Henry Rice, a proud Englishman aged 98.
We were taught all this. We were so proud just to be English. St George, yeah, he's a great guy, isn't he?
Patriotism is sometimes criticised. English history isn't perfect, but a community of all cultures can cherish St George. Back in Carlton, Colin's raising a different flag with a traditional Anglo-Saxon dragon.
Happy St George's Day! Have a great day!
Will Hollis, GBNews in Nottingham.
Well, are you going to have a great day? Let us know what you're doing to commemorate and mark St George's Day. Joining us now, royal historian and columnist Martin Whittock. Martin, just the bit I don't understand is St George never actually set foot in England, so how does he then become the patron saint of England?
That's a very good question. The original George, according to tradition, was a Cappadocian Greek who lived in what is now central Turkey. There was no Turkey at the time, completely different. It was a Greek-speaking area, a Cappadocian Greek who was martyred for his faith, according to tradition, under the Roman Emperor Diocletian, and according to tradition, martyred in what we'd now call central Israel. In an 11th century source, he's then given the idea of the role of fighting a dragon, but in Libya. So you've got what is now Turkey, you've got what is now Israel, you've got what is now Libya. What's going on here? He became a very, very popular military saint because he was a Roman soldier and because he died for his faith. And it particularly took off from the 11th and 12th century onwards, following the Crusades, this idea of martial Christianity in the early medieval period. He's then, in 1222, he's given his first role as having an official day set aside for him in this country, and he's then picked up again by warrior kings, Edward III and Henry V, in the 14th and 15th century. But his roots go back to this quite extraordinary story of martyrdom in the late Roman Empire. But he caught people's imagination. He's patron saint in Georgia, in the Caucasus, of Moscow in Russia, of Bosnia-Herzegovina, and of course of England. So he is internationally popular as this heroic soldier who died for his faith. But as you say, a quite extraordinary route that got to that point in 1222 when English kings began to think he is our patron saint of this country. Before that, the patron saint was much more inclined to be Edward the Confessor, who was a late Anglo-Saxon king. But he did not have a particular reputation as a warrior, and so he gets replaced by George from the 13th century onwards. And a spoiler alert, of course, because St Andrew never got to Scotland either. So in distinction to the Welsh St David and the Irish St Patrick, who were all associated with their countries, St George and St Andrew didn't actually get to the countries which celebrate them.
Okay. So do you think that might be part of the reason then that we don't embrace our National Day in the same way as, say, our Irish counterparts? Or do you think it is more to do with, as some people claim, that the St George's flag has been claimed by political parties, football fans? You know, a lot of people sort of shy away from it now.
I think it's due to a cocktail of reasons. Until the Reformation in the 16th century, he was incredibly popular, incredibly popular. There were St George's Day ridings when people went out on horseback, dressed up as St George, a huge amount of stuff going on. And then he crashed and burned in 1547, 1548 during the Protestant Reformation because he was a saint and Catholic saints were out. He then comes back a bit under Queen Elizabeth, but not very big at all. And he never really comes back into favour again until the 19th century, when suddenly there's a burst of interest in St George. He hits a peak again in the 1930s, and after the Second World War, he just kind of fizzles out again. And I think part of the problem is that he isn't actually directly associated with the country, you know, as somebody who actually was here. I think that's part of it. I think it's also because people feel, or have felt, that he's been kind of annexed by a particular part of the political spectrum, though that shouldn't stop him being celebrated by everybody. And I think it also is because over the years, English people have not felt under pressure in the UK in the way in which at times maybe Scots, Irish and Welsh people have, who've kind of rallied around their saint. But he's an ideal saint for a complicated, multicultural country. Cappadocian Greek, executed in the Middle East, whose legend then takes him to North Africa. Well, what's not to like about somebody that speaks about all of this and then dies for his Christian faith? I think he does speak to a complicated, multicultural country.
Well, there we go, a diversity candidate, if ever there was one. I'm not sure if that will increase his popularity or not. Martin Whittock, royal historian and columnist, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Martin.
Lots of you getting in touch on gbnews.com/your say this morning. John Andrews, happy St George's Day. Stuart Mack, happy St George's Day. Be proud. Have a great day. Lots of people saying how they'll be celebrating, buying red roses just as soon as the florists open. People saying that they've got their flags flying. And we should point out, Stephen and Ellie are out and about today for us on GB News at a St George's Day parade.
Where is that? Dartford. They're in Dartford. So look forward to seeing them live from there shortly.